Federal agencies are looking to modernize the user experience and their services, deploying online tools like web applications to better engage with their constituents. However, even low-risk applications can introduce an entry point for bad actors to carry out their exploits. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and joining me to talk about how to mitigate some of those risks are Nick Lewis, Chief Information Security Officer at the U.S. Health Resources and Services Administration, an agency within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and Mark Townsend, Vice President of Professional Services at Invicti. Nick and Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Nick, let me start with you. The threat landscape obviously has grown, causing more entry points for bad actors. As the Health Resources and Services Administration modernizes or implements new web applications, how is your team strategizing new security protocols to keep up with and mitigate those threats?
Well, we also are seeing across the landscape that the end users are being targeted, and that includes our developers through phishing and watering hole attacks. And so as we're seeing this, we are really working to ensure that the developers are receiving the proper training so that they're not being compromised through these various attacks. And so our primary strategy is targeting risk security training and enterprise development lifecycle application vulnerability review. And what we're doing with that is we're focusing on that training to ensure that they're not being compromised, but we also are targeting that EPLC process to make sure that we are detecting vulnerabilities early in the process. And we use a variety of tools to identify those issues, including static application security testing, dynamic application security testing, and interactive application security testing before the various stage gates, so that we find it early and take care of it early. And we also leverage a tool to look at our open source repositories, or the open source repositories, to ensure that we're not adding more vulnerabilities because we're leveraging open source. So we're moving towards continuous integration and delivery. And so we're hoping to automate that more and more so that the tests are completed quickly and we're able to review quickly.
It's a lot to keep track of, I'm sure. Mark, let me bring you in. I think Nick alluded to the need for what's often called dynamic application security testing. Lots of tools to do that, but why is this approach so beneficial to agencies? And can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing at federal agencies as they start tackling application security and implementing this array of solutions?
Thank you. And Nick pointed out a great set of strategies that we see customers using all the time. It's a blend of different security tools to target. Invicti surveyed over 160 federal cybersecurity leaders, and 86% of them experienced a breach originating from a web app in the past year. So AppSec is a critical part of national security strategy. There's also this realization that applications are the new perimeter, and DAST is a great strategy for determining what your perimeter looks like, measuring your security posture, and determining your agency's resilience to threats.
Well, and Nick, I think a lot of your peers would agree legacy systems and antiquated processes as they were, obviously contribute to some of the problems with security posture, but agencies at the same time appear to have some support from the administration to make some changes, particularly with the zero trust and cybersecurity executive order and so forth. Can you share your insights, on which federal directives are proving to be most helpful to you and your management team as you kind of attempt to build out your security strategies for modernization?
Sure. So, a lot of federal agency members might disagree with me, but my first thought on what's helping us is the CDM program. The CDM program was initiated quite a while back, but what it did was it provided a mechanism whereby DHS could help implement brand new tools in the environment by DHS paying for those tools for the first 2 years. And then we were able to take advantage of them and move forward without that budget constraint. And that really opened up the door to us moving forward in getting the tools necessary to secure the environment. But then by leveraging CDM tools, we were able to start the process of meeting the Zero Trust initiative by DHS providing an endpoint detection and response tool. The OMB mandate 2209, moving U.S. government towards Zero Trust security, cybersecurity principles is really a game changer. It really makes a big difference because of it's redefining what security means within the federal government. It's doing a great job of actually telling us what we need to focus on and target. And it's also identifying areas that we may not have thought of. It's including the mandate M2131, which is the logging mandate. And that logging mandate really identified the specific logs that the incident response teams need, as well as the application logs that are necessary to ensure that we are not being compromised. And so I've made a few of them, but in all of those, it's really helping us to identify the areas for HRSA to ensure that the security of the environment is being taken care of.
Well, Mark, back to you. I think you'd agree the goal of establishing the zero trust operating environments really requires a change in mindset as much as technology. But nevertheless, it does also mean having the right tools with the right features in place. So how are you seeing organizations in government, how can they better leverage application security solutions that adhere to the zero trust mindset?
Sure. Zero trust is a journey, and it calls for the continuously securing users' networks and applications. One of the early first steps is understanding your attack surface. Web applications are the largest attack surface vector, so keeping their inventory of internal and external applications up to date, along with the software bill of materials, is absolutely critical. In an optimal approach, agencies deeply integrate threat protections directly into application workflows and wherever the agency is performing AppSec tests before deployment. Challenges I've seen include tempering agility with security. DAS tools that are integrated with the security ecosystem enable customers to deploy with some risks that are pre-mitigated via integration with web application firewalls, for example.
And then Nick, building on what Mark just touched on, I'm curious, so what additional challenges lie ahead at the Health Resources and Services Administration to close some of those security gaps on your web applications with zero trust in mind? And how does that relate to your larger mission outcome?
Well, I just wanted to touch a little bit more on that zero trust because it's such a game changer in the way that we operate and we function, and it really is a journey. And I always tell my staff that it takes baby steps, and those baby steps really start to add up. And through this program, we're welcoming inspection of our websites and opening up the mindset of our development team. And we're also starting this process of making sure that immutable workloads are being inspected. So as we are looking ahead, one of the challenges is the fact that it's not just tools that we'll need to make this journey. It's really, we have to augment our staff and make sure that we're getting the right people. And so the biggest challenge that we see is that, it's hard to find talented individuals for the federal government. And so what we're doing is we're just working on new ways of recruiting staff and really putting in the initiative so that we can have the right people using the right tools to actually meet all of these zero trust requirements and, in fact, security environment. The outcome is really that if HRSA is secure, then we can be assured that provider relief funds and all of the other things that we support is readily available.
And I think there's universal agreement that the more secure agencies can be and at scale and in a more dynamic way, the more innovative they can become as well. Well, hey, Nick Lewis and Mark Townsend, thank you so much for tuning in here with us, sharing some of your insights and giving us a better picture of how web application and dynamic security testing can really be a game changer in the federal government.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.